So, lately I've been playing a lot of Jedi Survivor. It's honestly kinda sad because I've been playing it so much that I managed to 100% it, and I finished the New Game Plus, all within like a week and a half. And this game really has impressed me, apart from a few performance things. It's so fun that I've actually been playing around with a photo mode in a game for the first time. Sometimes, when I mess around with these things, it gets cool results, and sometimes, I get this. And, yeah. But really the thing that has impressed me the most about this game is the storytelling. It manages to be character-driven and intimate while still being epic and Star Wars-y. And that juxtaposition kinda got me thinking about the other stories that I've been experiencing over the last few years. And that's when it dawned on me. A lot of them have been video games. Look, I know that's a very neckbeard thing to say, video games have the best stories, and movies and TV shows are overrated. But I'm being completely honest. So yeah, I thought I'd just do a little short video here and just kind of talk about what I think about storytelling and why I think it's really cool, because I'm a nerd. And spoilers for all of these games. I cannot stress this enough. Spoilers. Okay, so which video games in particular have I played over the last few years that have just completely wowed me? First off, I've already mentioned it, Jedi Survivor. I'm a pretty big nerd for Star Wars, and with Fallen Order already being my favorite Star Wars game, this game is just freaking perfect. The twist towards the end of the second act of the game with Bode betraying the team, and then following that up with the single most amazing and cinematic action sequence that I've seen from Star Wars in a hot minute, and you have my nerd alter ego just erupting. He throws a scout trooper into an oncoming TIE fighter. You cannot say that this game is bad, except for the crappy performance and it being completely broken on launch. And then you pair that with the genuine character struggle of Cal dealing with his dark side being slowly hinted at all game, culminating with a very emotional third act, and it's just perfect. It's easily everything that Arkham City was to Arkham Asylum, just with Star Wars. It's honestly the best piece of content from that franchise that we've gotten all year, in my opinion. Another game that has just completely blown me away over the last few years is Insomniac's SpiderMan. Despite what you may think from some of my more recent content, go watch it, I really worked hard on it. I'm not the biggest Marvel fan. I'm actually kind of just a Batman guy. But then Spider-Man comes on screen and I turn into a 4-year-old. This game is also similar to the Arkham games, except instead of the similarity being a story structure, it's the definitive representation of that character to me. Yuri Lowenthal is Spider-Man to me. He's the one that I am the most excited to see. I cannot wait for the sequel to this game, I'm just gonna be real. The first game starts out pretty normal, it's exactly what you'd expect from a Spider-Man story, but it slowly evolves into one of the few times that I've almost cried at a video game. Doc Ock is done so effectively, even though literally everybody saw that transformation coming. And then with Aunt May's death tying the whole final scenes together, it just transforms into one of, if not the greatest Spider-Man story ever told. However, those two games are stories with pre-established characters or canons. Jedi Survivor has most of the world already built for it, and Spider-Man has all of their characters already created for it, so not too special, right? It's not too different than a remake or a reboot? Well, that's where my favorite game of all time, and maybe the best story I've ever experienced, comes in. Red Dead Redemption 2. I'll try to explain why I like this game as quickly as possible because you and I both don't want this video to be 7 hours long. Arthur Morgan is the greatest protagonist ever, Dutch is a fantastic antagonist, same with Micah, and John is an incredible secondary protagonist. Just every single character in this game is fantastic. The writing is some of the best that I've ever heard, period. And the storyline manages to be very long and pretty in-depth, with it very rarely feeling drawn out or unnecessary. Essentially, imagine how good of a show Breaking Bad is, and that's how good Red Dead Redemption 2 is. And those three games aren't the only ones with fantastic stories. Detroit Become Human, the Arkham games, the Grand Theft Auto series, the Doom series, the OG Halo trilogy, the Elder Scrolls games when they're not breaking, the Fallout games when they're not breaking, freaking Minecraft? And those are just the ones that I've played. The God of War series, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, Zelda, The Witcher 3. Most video games have very critically acclaimed stories, and for what? Why are these stories so much better and rated, at least on average, higher than most feature-length movies? Well, I actually think it's kinda simple. Think about some of the greatest movies and TV shows of all time. In terms of movies, most of the ones that are acclaimed for their storytelling are pushing the 2.5-hour mark, or they're in some kind of series with a lot of sequels and stuff. For TV shows, it's sort of more the opposite. The shorter TV shows typically do better, because once you reach a certain milestone with your show, the more it feels like you're just kinda drawing things out without enough natural payoff. I think for TV shows, that milestone is around 5 to 7 seasons. And doing some basic math, if each season has 13 episodes and they average about 45 minutes, you roughly get about 48 to 68 hours of story, which is a lot. And how long does it take to beat those video games? If you only focus on the story, Jedi Survivor takes about 19 hours to beat, SpiderMan takes around 17, and Red Dead Redemption 2 takes around 50 hours to complete. Length in stories is a very important thing. If your story is too short, then it leaves people wanting more. Oftentimes, that's why movies get sequels and remakes. It's to recapture that magic. But if your story is too long, the audience gets bored very quickly. There's a pretty big mental hurdle that you have to get your audience to get over if you want them to sit through a 4-hour movie. Zack Snyder! And with TV shows, like I said, go beyond like 7 seasons with no end in sight, and it shifts from being a great character-driven drama show to a cash grab. The Walking Dead! And it's still not over because there's 16 million spinoffs. But I think that video games hit that sweet spot. The stories that they tell can go on for however long they want. There's not really a monetary incentive to keep them going and draw them out unnecessarily. But length isn't the only thing that makes video games unique. Video games have one defining characteristic that sets them apart from other forms of visual media: interactivity. Like I said, the main storyline of Spider-Man takes 17 hours to beat, but that's only if you focus on the main story. I've beaten the game twice on PC, and I have around 70 hours in it. That's an average of 35 hours per playthrough. I need to get a job, man. And those playthroughs are that long because I moved through them at my own pace. Pretty much every game nowadays has other things to do apart from the main quest, and it allows the viewer to move through the game however fast or however slow they want. And that's something that you can't really find in a lot of other media. It's kind of weird to just pause a movie 30 minutes in, wait a week, and then pick it up right where you left off. And with TV shows or books, you can stop and pick it up whenever you want, but you can't really expand the story beyond the information that you're given. Video games allow the player to create their own story on top of the one that the writers have already created. Like in Red Dead Redemption 2, there's this thing called the honor meter that's at the bottom of your screen. The choices that you make determine the level of honor that you have. If you're going around looting and robbing and shooting old ladies in the face, you're gonna have low honor. But if you actually help that old lady instead of just instantly shooting her in the face, your honor's gonna go up. Every decision that you make throughout the game builds on one another, and it actually changes how everything turns out. If you have high honor, there's an ending where Arthur sacrifices his life for John, deciding that it's better to die protecting his family than on some bed in a hospital. And if you make that same choice with low honor, you get this. Storytelling in video games is so effective because it's not just some character who you see every now and again throughout tens of subplots or bottle episodes or flashbacks. Practically every second that the character spends in the story, you are spending that time with them. You are the character. You make the main character look however you want them to look, act however you want them to act, and be whoever you want them to be. You can make every character fit you. That's why video games can, and often are, more effective modes of storytelling than other forms of visual media. Basically, you make the story. Thank you guys for watching and listening to me rant about things that ultimately don't matter. Subscribe if you enjoyed it, I guess, and I'll see you in the next one. Can a guy get some privacy around here? I want to thank you all for watching one more time, and I think that you should like and subscribe, or else it will not bode well for you. Get it? Because bode is a character in Jedi Survivor, and not boding well is a saying. You see, it's a play on words, and a play on words is a joke where rather than there being a, normal setup like a punchline, it just uses words and vocabulary and twists them in weird ways to make it sound funny rather than it actually being some kind of one-liner. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.